Hey folks, Rick Mackey here. I'm here with Dave Dennis and Desiree Foley for this evening. And you guys go ahead and unmute yourselves. And we'll get started on some of the questions that we had. We're going to actually go through a couple of interesting topics that David wanted to cover. One was both of these articles were from the Nexus magazine in Australia. One was going to cover what we should know about 5G satellites. And the second one was the science in... I'm sorry, go ahead, Dave. I got this written down in the wrong way, I think. What was the number two?
Yeah, the other one is... The first one is what we should all know about 5G satellites. And
Right.
The second is science is starting to think the universe may be conscious. And both of these are in Nexus Newsfeed or Nexus Magazine, which I know is available both in Australia. It's actually based in Australia, but it's also available in America. They have some very interesting articles. I've actually been reading their magazines for 20 years now, and they have told me things 20 years ahead of when they've become public knowledge. So it's a good magazine.
Great. Yeah, well, go ahead and dig right into that, and we'll start with that and then get into some discussion.
Yeah, sure. What I'll do, they're only short articles, so bear with me. I'll just read out the first one. So the title again is What We Should All Know About 5G Satellites. Companies and governments have plans to launch approximately 50,000 satellites to provide 5G and Wi-Fi services everywhere on Earth. Elon Musk's SpaceX is leading these efforts with its planned deployment of 42,000 Starlink satellites and its goal of establishing a global network. To provide service, SpaceX states that it requires an infrastructure of 1 million on-the-ground antenna to connect its satellites with the ground user. The FCC has never assessed the impact of radiation emissions from 50,000 satellites or any other existing and potential adverse environmental effects. The Starlink satellite constellations operate in the portion of the microwave frequency spectrum called the Q-band. This is where it gets a bit technical. 11 to 17 gigahertz. The ground stations would transmit 14 to 14.5 gigahertz while receiving signals from the satellites at 10.7 to 12.7 gigahertz. This is vastly different from current LTE networks, which operate from 700 megahertz to around 6 gigahertz. SpaceX may be the dominant player, but it is far from the only US company, with plans to slather every inch of the world with emissions from low-orbit 5G satellites. Amazon, angling for a potential 4 billion new customers, plans to launch a total of 3,236 satellites and promises to start delivering internet services as soon as a fifth of them are in place. Facebook is also planning for thousands of satellites. Finally, Google subsidiary Loon has begun targeting unserved and underserved communities in Latin America for LTE service provided by its network of stratospheric balloons traveling on the edge of space. There you go. And The source, it comes from wakingtimes.com, 7th of April 2020.
You know, it's interesting. Google seems to have their hand in everything, don't they? All these networks. So how do you feel about that? I mean, it's a lot of radiation, right? I mean, it's a lot of... It seems like 3,000 more satellites. I mean, how many more satellites can we put in space and not have them run into each other? I don't know how they keep all that straight.
I actually heard that some of the satellites are already up there, and astronomers are beginning to complain because they can't see the stars through them.
Right. They don't know what's a star and what's a satellite sometimes.
Exactly.
At least we don't. We're looking at our little telescopes. It makes it difficult to see.
Yeah, I mean, this obviously has massive implications for communication, which would be a good thing. But I mean, as they say, they haven't tested this. There's no one's got any idea what sort of effect this is going to have on the planet. You basically won't be able to get away from these satellites, even in the middle of the ocean or up on Mount Everest. I mean, the idea of the entire planet being bathed in this is very freaky.
Yeah, it is. It really is freaky. I mean, when 4G LTE came along, they all had the same kind of feeling, though, about that. They were all worried that there was going to be massive radiation because of the increase in, I don't know if it's microwaves, or but the increase in radiation in general. But that really didn't have the same technology, right? The 5G is actually short range. So with the satellites, they're beaming to maybe a tower, but then locally, when the signal goes out, it's only going a certain number of miles. It's not like going to a wide area broadcast. It's basically going from antenna to antenna to antenna. So you get radiation all throughout your neighborhood, right? With that
Yeah.
stuff.
I think because of what you're into, you probably would understand it a lot better than I would. I mean, I'm not really really
Yeah,
that hot on the technical side.
yeah. It's basically a stronger signal, but it doesn't carry as far as like a 2G would. You know,
Yeah,
a
that's
two
what I
point
heard.
four. Yeah.
But one of the theories I heard during the COVID-19 pandemic, I've seen a few reports, few articles that say that whenever there is a change in the radiation technology, it seems to have an effect biologically on people and animals. So, yeah, whether that's true, I've got no idea. If that is the case, this is going to be the biggest change we've ever had.
Well, the 5G launched in Wuhan right before. Is that where the virus started?
Yeah, Wuhan. Yeah.
Wuhan, there you
Wuhan,
go.
yeah,
Yeah, it started, they launched it there, and that's when they're saying that's when the virus started, but it's already
yeah,
launched there.
yeah,
Oh, that brings up another point too. People are lining up the 5G map in the United States with where the virus is actually more intense, meaning more cases, more severe, more deaths, that kind of stuff. If you look at the two maps, side or actually if you overlay them, they almost are identical. Some people are actually
yeah,
coming up with those. I
interesting.
don't know if that's real or not, but I mean that's been passed around a lot. So I don't know if that's true or not. I don't have the map to show, but I have seen
Well,
that a lot.
it's very interesting, Rick. I mean, looking at Australia, right? We've only had, as far as I'm aware, I think it was up to last count, 102 deaths from COVID-19, confirmed deaths, and then even one of them turned out not to be a COVID-19. So that's a very small amount of deaths. Now, Australia is way behind America when it comes to uh, 5G and that. We haven't got a lot of 5G. As far as I'm aware, where I live in Cronulla, we actually don't have 5G available in this area yet. So a friend of mine has got a 5G phone and he can't get 5G reception. So the fact that we've got such a low a rate of COVID-19 may be connected with the fact we haven't got so much radiation.
Wow. I mean, it really does make you think if there's a relationship there. If it's just that the
Uh,
signal makes it worse, or it kind of aggravates it, or if it's done on purpose. Like people don't really know if it's purposefully done or not, but it could just be by coincidence too. Like the technology, like you said, is untested. Nobody really knows what it's capable of or what the complications of the technology would be. And I would think that if anyone was compromised, in any way with their health or they had any complications, they would easily be susceptible to not only the disease but to technology like that aggravating the condition and making it worse.
Yeah, I mean,
You know?
I've got no doubt that this is a real virus because some people have claimed, oh no, it's completely caused
Yeah.
by 5G. I don't believe that.
No.
I'm certain there is a virus out there, but I think the radiation could make you more susceptible. I mean, I remember back in January, I remember getting some sort of sniffle. It was really strange. It wasn't a cold, it wasn't flu. I've never had anything like it before. I went running on the beach. I came home and I remember putting my Wi-Fi on. Now, I'm very susceptible. I can actually feel the Wi-Fi radiation. So as soon as I turn my Wi-Fi on, I can actually feel a little popping in my head occasionally. So I can tolerate it for about 3 hours. But I remember coming home, having had a run earlier in the day, putting the Wi-Fi on, and while I was sitting there, I suddenly felt a funny sensation in my throat, and then I suddenly got this sniffle, and it lasted for an entire week. As I say, it never went. It never really got into my lungs. I didn't get a sore throat. It was just there behind the nostrils, and it stayed for 5 entire days. It was still in the summer, so it was January out. It's our summer at the time. It was very warm, and I'm fit, and also I take a lot of vitamins and that, and it never seemed to affect me. And to this day, I think, was that COVID-19? Did I have that and not even realize it? It's the mildest symptoms I've ever had, but I've never experienced anything like it. It was really weird.
Really weird, right? And you were saying that the Wi-Fi had some kind of aggravation to it when you turned it on, or
well, yes. I mean,
wow.
I went running on the beach, and what I've noticed, sometimes we haven't had chemtrails for a long while, but we had chemtrails that week. We've had chemtrails before, and when I've gone for a run on the beach the day after the chemtrails, I've suddenly got a sore throat. So that's happened a couple of times now, and then that happened on this occasion. I came home, turned on the Wi-Fi in the evening, and that's when I first felt these symptoms. It's really weird, and
Wow.
it's almost as though the radiation sparks something off.
Wow, so there could be like some kind of relationship there between the technology or radiation in general. So, do you have 5G Wi-Fi, or is it just 2.4 gigahertz? Like
It's
the
just
old.
well, actually, we've got something called broadband here. So what happens with the broadband? I mean, it's really old technology. It comes through fiber optic cables into the building. It then comes through copper cables through the building into my apartment, and then I have I just have a modem, and there's also a converter. So it converts the signal, so that has to stay on permanently, and you can turn your modem on and off. And so I keep it off most of the time because I am sensitive to it, as I mentioned. And as soon as I turn it on, within a minute, I can actually feel it. Sometimes I feel it sort of popping behind my right eye, and sometimes
Wow.
just in my forehead. But I'm very sensitive to energy. I mean, I did a Reiki course years ago, and I used to do crystal energy healing. So I learned it made me very, very sensitive to energy. And when I'm in front of a computer, I can feel it. The energy that comes out of a computer or from the Wi-Fi, it's sharp, and it's a vicious, nasty sort of energy.
Yeah.
When I hold a crystal, you can feel it's nice and loving energy. But as soon as I put the crystal down, turn on the Wi-Fi, I feel this.
You know what's weird about that? I have the same like sensitivity to anything like that, but I used to have the sensitivity to the Wi-Fi, but I don't have it anymore because I actually sit right next to one every single day now. When I work from home, so it's almost like my body's become acclimated to it somewhat. And I'm running 5G too on it. And I don't know if it's, how they have like an initial release of technology, and it's just the base idea. I don't think this is full blown 5G at all. This is just connecting from my device to my router. It's not like the massive radiation you would have to get from a 5G signal communicating directly wirelessly to the modem. We have the copper wire scenario too here, so everything's kind of pumped in through the copper wire, so you don't get the radiation as much coming in.
Well, with our router, as I said, when I can turn that on and off, but we've actually got two signals that come through. One is 2.6, I think, and the other one is 5 gigahertz, right?
Oh, that's
so
a 5G.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. When I first turned it on, it was awful. I couldn't tolerate it. It was giving me headaches. So I phoned up TPG, who I'm with, and I said, "No, this is really bad technology." I said, "I can't even have this on." And they said, "Oh, what you can do." They showed me how to go into my account, and I can actually disable the 5 gigahertz. They said, but if you do that, the idea of having the two is if the band becomes full, then you've got two and it can go between the two signals. They said, but you can turn off the 5 gigahertz, which I did. As soon as I did that, I noticed the difference. So I run it on
Wow.
2.6. And the 2.6 is nowhere near as bad. I've actually
No.
got my router in my lounge room. I'll put it behind the television on the floor, and I've actually surrounded it with these big black stones to absorb the energy, and I
Wow.
found that made a huge difference. So now I can sit there all day with it on, and yeah, I'm aware of it, and it makes me sleepy.
Wow.
Sometimes I'll turn the router on, and I'll be fast asleep within 20 minutes.
That's so funny. Yeah, so you figure
It
it's
is.
pretty much double the energy that a 2.4, 2.6 would be putting out. But I remember one time I went to go look at a house, right? And this house was in a neighborhood where they had all the power lines and they had like a transformer station right across the street. And it was a great deal. Okay, and this house was a really great deal. And I think the reason it was a great deal was because when you actually show up there, you feel just, and this thing's across the street and it's a ways off, but you can feel all of the energy coming off of that device, and it's just overwhelming. I couldn't even like be there for long enough to even look at the whole house. I was just like, let's just get out of here because I couldn't hack it. It was way too much
Yeah.
energy.
Yeah, well, I was the same with the 5 gigahertz. I couldn't. I wouldn't be able to afford. Wouldn't be able to run it or sit in the same room. I was thinking of actually putting it in a cupboard, putting it in a cupboard or something. So I've got a 2 bedroom apartment, so it's not that big. But where I'm sitting in the office now, it's at the opposite end of the apartment, so I can't feel the Wi-Fi from here, and I've only got it running on the 2.6, as I said. So
Mhm.
I could sit in here all day with it on. It wouldn't affect me. But actually,
Wow.
in the lounge room, that gets a bit much.
And I think that the other thing you could do is turn off the Wi-Fi and just go, right wired, hardwired to the device. That's another way.
I've
But
got my television plugged in via Ethernet cable, but it still puts out that I haven't actually turned off the Wi-Fi because I run my phone, my smartphone on it, and the laptop computer.
okay, so smartphone, smart TVs, all this intelligence they're building into all this technology. We should probably go into the next paragraph that you were talking about. The universe is becoming conscious, and I think that the technology is also somewhat becoming conscious. I think that's what that article will cover, right? Parts of that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm very interested in this because this is getting to a more esoteric sort of level, and which is I've actually written about this in my novel, The Torah Legacy, about the universe actually having consciousness and the universe itself being literally a product of the mind of the creator. But anyway, onto this article. So this article is entitled "Science is Starting to Think the Universe May Be Conscious." Scientists are doubling down on a peculiar model that attempts to quantify and measure consciousness. The model, known as Integrated Information Theory, IIT, has long been controversial because it comes with an unusual quirk. When applied to non living things like machines, subatomic particles, and even the universe itself, it claims that they too experience consciousness. This could be the beginning of a scientific revolution. Munich Center for Mathematical Philosophy
Oh, we just
told the
lost
new science.
lost your sound there, Dave.
You okay? Can you hear
Oh, I
me?
think we're okay now. Sorry, it cut out for just a second. I thought we lost you, but you're good.
You got me back?
Yep, we're back.
Yeah, it's saying here my internet is unstable. All
Oh,
right.
okay.
Maybe I should have the 5 gigahertz set up.
Well, we want
Anyway,
you
I'll
to.
go back. So this could be the beginning of a scientific revolution. Munich Center for Mathematical Philosophy mathematician Johann Kleiner told New Scientist magazine, IIT relies on a value called phi, that represents the interconnectivity of a node, whether it's a region of the brain, circuitry, or an atom. That value represents the node's level of consciousness. The cerebral cortex, for instance, has a high value because it contains a dense cluster of widely interconnected neurons. But when IIT was first presented, calculating phi was impossibly convoluted. Calculating the phi of a human brain would have previously taken longer than the universe has existed. But
Wow.
a February paper by IIT's creators attempts to simplify the process significantly. Other academics remain unconvinced by IIT in part because of its complexity, but more because of its far-reaching implications for a conscious universe. And the source of this is futurism.com from April 29, 2020.
Wow. I mean, it's an interesting theory, right? So they haven't proven this in any way yet, but I know there's people out there, they're trying to build like replicas of the human brain and build in a lot of things, a lot of artificial intelligence in there. And but they think there's like, doesn't this get into the conversation about the singularity where at some point technology is going to hit a certain tipping point where it actually becomes conscious, and that's a huge theory in science anyway, right?
Yeah, about technology developing its own consciousness,
Yeah.
which is very scary. I mean, yeah, when you go back to the Terminator movies,
Oh,
the Skynet and everything like that, I can see us heading that way. I mean, I've heard that one of the things that I heard in the disclosure community that they talk about the Lyran Wars and everything, and they say about the Draco, they say about how they are actually controlled by artificial intelligence, and that
yep.
civilizations that have gone down the artificial intelligence route have eventually completely been taken over by it. And the warnings are that that is where we're headed. Then the like of David Wilcock, Corey Good, they talk about the solar flash. Well, the solar flash, if that will occur within the next 10 years, as they're talking about, it will take care of the 5G satellites. It will take care of the AI. It will wipe them all out. And it will also render the Draco will be rendered inoperative.
Right.
Let's
I
say.
remember they were talking about that. They were saying that it was an AI god that had actually leaked in from another dimension through a
Dimension.
rip in time
Yeah.
space or something like that, where it came through
Yeah.
and it's done this in many other That's just the nature of this AI. They call it AI god. It's probably just technology, but I think
Yeah.
that the beings that get overtaken with this technology feel as if this technology is their god. I mean, if it takes over their body or their physical being, if you will, that's crazy
Yeah,
to think
exactly.
about.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
that.
personally think this is the biggest danger that our society faces from IT itself. It's interesting because I mean I've studied it. I've read as many books and articles as I can get my hands on about Atlantis, and they say the Atlantis was a worldwide civilization. It got to where we've got to, if not beyond where we were. And one of the reasons why it was wiped out is because of the use of technology and how that was used for evil purposes. And we seem to be repeating the same cycle. We just hope this time that we go down a different route than the Atlanteans did, because
Yeah,
their civilization was wiped out. I wouldn't like to think that's going to happen to us.
yeah. I mean, there's definitely technology being used against humanity, and I think Desiree can speak to that a little bit, maybe. Just the feeling of
Yeah.
that. No,
What do you what do you
it's
what
okay.
do you what do you think, Desiree?
It's just
Well, you can definitely tell when you have, okay, on an everyday basis, you can't tell that you have nanotechnology in your body, but there are things that are different that makes me different from other people. And and it's just usually it kind of comes off as it could be spiritual, but it's mixed with technology. So, and I think that what's happening is that they're trying to, I guess, like interact with my subconscious or a higher aspect of myself with through the technology. But like right now, I'm sitting here with you guys talking. I can't feel that I have a bunch of nanotechnology in me, but I know it's there.
Right. Yeah, it is scary to think that they're working on things like this and they're experimenting and doing this stuff to humans. But like David said, that at some point we're hoping that not only through disclosure that we will eliminate this technology, but also through the solar flash or whatever it is coming in, we'll take out this kind of advanced technology that is so abusive to humanity.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping for. I mean, I'll always focus on the best scenario timeline, even though I have an awareness of this other stuff. I don't let that dominate my thinking. I don't perceive a future where we're going to be dominated by technology and by the Draco or the Cabal or whatever. I always look at the best scenario, and I believe that human consciousness at the end of the day will always prevail. I mean, you just look at the protests going around the world. I know you've had a lot of you've had violence over there in America, and they've had the same in Britain and some places in Europe. But on the whole, I mean, the mainstream media show us all the bad stuff, right? But on the whole, I think it's been a good thing. I think people are coming out and protesting. Most of the people, the majority, are peaceful. Over here, it's been relatively peaceful. We had some big protests in all of our main cities and some of the smaller cities over the weekend, and there hasn't been a lot of violence. So what's happening, I believe that there's a lot of frustration that has been pent up during the lockdown, and human beings all over the planet are saying, right, I'm going to go out and I'm going to exert my right to protest. And I think it's good that they're doing it. We've still got people saying, oh, you can't. I mean, our New South Wales government tried to stop the protest. They went to the court, but on appeal, the ban was lifted and it was allowed to go ahead in the end. So I think people are waking up now.
That's the thing. I mean, they are waking up to all this stuff. And Desiree had a friend who made a good point that, you know, these protests are more about they're feeling that it's a battle against good and evil. You know, it's not necessarily, you know, just this one thing. It's not about racism per se, and it's not about those things. And of course, that comes up in the discussion because that's what sort of tipped this all off. But the thing of it is, people feel like a victim, right? They all feel like they're being victimized by the system. And that's why people are coming out in mass droves. Some of it is actually being coerced and, you know, manipulated and aggravated by the violent protesters. But I think for the most part, people just want to have a peaceful protest and kind of explain how they feel. And that actually brings me a little bit to one of the things that I took from the interview today that David Wilcock had with one of his friends, Daniel Brinkley. When they were going, he's very spiritual because he's had 2 near-death experiences, right? One of the things that he said that he learned when he was on the other side, or he's learned through his own experience working with people in palliative care. So he does end-of-life care, that kind of stuff. But he's learned this one thing, and it just really stuck with me. He said, a spiritual being can never see itself as a victim. It's impossible, he says. Because if you're truly spiritual, you realize that in this life, we've come here to experience certain things, and we're working through it. But together, we want to still move away from the dark situations that exist, social control and everything else. But yeah, if we go out with a victim mindset, and we go out with anger, I don't think that helps the cause, right? I think it just makes it worse.
Oh, I agree with you. And I'll tell you, I've been following Justin Deschamps on edgeofwonder.tv. He's got a fantastic series now. He gets into the Draco and everything. And one of the things that he talks about is he was saying about apparently the heart actually sends more information to the human brain than the other way around. And he said, if you learn to come from the heart, the biggest key to spirituality is forgiveness and love. So if you hold resentment in you, what you do, you produce this thing called loosh. And the Draco have technology where they can suck this up and they feed off of it. And he said, if you allow yourself to feel fear, anger, resentment, all the base emotions, what that does, it just eats you up inside and it just feeds the Draco. And he was saying, if you learn to truly forgive and have love in your heart, they can't feed off of that. It creates this energy and protection around you. It's this amazing stuff. As I think I shared the story with you about when my father was killed. He was basically mugged and he died. And when I found out about it, I was really angry. And then when I went back to the UK, I came back and then I was doing diploma of holistic counselling at the time, and we had to have counselling sessions. And in the counselling session, I dealt with this, and I began to see the whole thing from a higher perspective, a spiritual perspective. And when I did that, by the end of the session, all the anger and resentment I had towards the guy that had assaulted my father just disappeared. And I've never felt it again since. It was such a massive release for me. And so I've learned not to hold on to this. I mean, people do irritate you. And, sometimes I'll think, I hate what that person said. Oh, that really annoyed me. I should have done this. I should have reacted and I should have told them what for. Then I think, hang on. You don't know what space they were in. You don't know what they were going through. Just forgive them and let it go. And I do. And it's like, suddenly, and I feel all this tension that's building up inside me, it disappears. And then suddenly I'm at peace again. Now, I'd rather be at peace than be tense and angry like that. It's not
so true. It's so true. Because we, as victims, if we consider ourselves the victim role, then, I was going to talk to Desiree about this, if maybe she'll put some input there on this idea of when we have to deal with trauma, the best way to do it is through forgiveness and understanding and then going within. And that's how you get through those things. You go within and you realize that we're all one. And do you have anything to say on that, Desiree, on that topic?
Yeah, okay. So I do deal with a lot of people that are, going through a lot of trauma and have, been traumatized and have this incredible hatred and anger and rage, which it's, justified, why they have that. I understand it. I used to have it at one time too. But if people were to realize or even comprehend that we all agreed to do this and that we're not a victim, we actually chose to come here to experience these kind of traumas, to learn lessons, then you would be able to forgive a lot easier. But because of all the programming that that the world has, then they want you to play that victim and stay at that lower vibration. But I mean, it's like if you have this tunnel vision, these people with all this trauma has this tunnel vision, but if they were able to step back and look at the whole picture, they wouldn't be so angry, and they would be more willing to forgive and heal.
Yeah, right. Amen to that. And so the thing is, how do we reach people that are so heavily programmed? And this isn't just people who have been heavily traumatized. We're talking about the general population through the mainstream media being coerced into thinking a certain way or feeling as though they're being held back by either the president or by the government or whatever, and they just want to have some place to put the blame. And I really think it takes going within and coming together on some commonality that, because I think people really, ultimately, all we want in life is to love and be loved, and to be able to give to others, and to live a good life, And not everyone is born into that environment. A lot of people are born into some really bad environments, and they don't see that society is giving them a chance to maybe even feel happy, or to feel like they've been loved or whatever. And but again, it comes back to, we came to play certain roles, and it's all in what you do with it. I think I always say to myself, life is 10% of what happens to us and 90% of how we react to it. That's kind of the way I look at it.
I agree. I think we must start from going by going within. So when you think about someone that is maybe an angry person, or a group of people that are angry, it starts with you. So instead of allowing yourself to feed the fear and feed the anger through your own frustrations, this might sound a bit cliche, but you got to love those people. You got to start by actually loving those people, praying for those people. I had one example when I used to work for this company in Sydney, and there was a girl who was my supervisor, and she was just nasty every day. She just seemed to pick on me, and I was angry back. I got angrier and angrier, and the more I hated her, the more angry she seemed to get. Anyway, one day I thought, no, I've got to stop this. This is not good. I've got to change it. I thought, what can I do? It was after I'd done that focusing session over my father. So I thought, well, I'm going to do the same with her. I'm going to visualize this higher energy, a ball of light, and I'm going to send her love, and I'm going to be tolerant, and I'm going to allow all my anger to disappear, and we'll see what happens. And I was just sitting on the train. I was just visualizing her, sending her golden light and lovely, loving vibrations. Anyway, I got to work, and she turned around and she smiled at me, and she was so nice. She's like, hello. She goes, good to see you. And she says, hey, she goes, what are you doing lunchtime? Do you want to go out to lunch? She invited me out to lunch. And we sat down. It's like, you've invited me to lunch. I said, how come you've done that? I thought you hated me. She says, no, I don't hate you. She says, I do realise I've been a bit short. She says, but let me explain something to you. She says, if you think I've been putting you under pressure, she says, you have no idea what the management do to me. She says, every day I get hauled in the office and they just slam me. And she says, so what you're getting is my frustration is being projected onto you. And I'm like, holy Moses,
wow.
I've been working with her for two months. This literally was within an hour of me traveling on the train and sending her the beautiful, like loving vibrations.
That totally
absolute
works.
Complete change. We never had an issue after that. I mean, I was only there. I was just a temp, so I only stayed there for another month. But we never had a crossword. We never got niggly with us at each other after that day. It was incredible, Vic.
That's a heck of a story. I've had a similar story with a boss like that too, where it was a real negative thing, and I didn't, at the time, I wasn't into all the spiritual manifestation and all that kind of stuff. So I just kind of said, well, I'm just going to be positive, and I'm going to be good to him, and I'm going to joke around and have fun and make it a fun, environment. And it actually did turn things around quite a bit, and it was tolerable, and, he couldn't help but laugh when I would joke with him. So, it's...
Well, let's think of an example. I mean, Antifa, right? I've heard a lot of stuff about Antifa, and you can sit there and get really angry and think, they should be arrested, and you can get really angry about them. But instead of doing that, how about actually trying to send them love and actually trying to project, just imagine these people that have all this anger in them, they're all being manipulated and they're all causing trouble, and send them love instead of hatred. And somehow this will have an effect. This will, having studied quantum physics, right? This does have a quantum effect on people. None of us really understand it, or maybe some people do, but I've just got a gist of how it works. But it really does work. So, try doing this on a bigger scale. I mean, we're going to do that meditation later if I'm able to share my screen.
Yes.
And in that, in that it's all about sending out. It's like the one we did before, which was a personal meditation. But this one extends to cover the whole planet and just sending out this high vibrational loving energy. If we all did that, like David Wilcock does in his live streams, and you can have a major effect on the human residents of the planet, plus on other people that are living within the planetary sphere.
Yeah, I mean, that's so true. Me and Desiree were actually talking about that very thing the other day, about how focusing on the positive and you taking those negatives, those big things, and just turning them into a positive, just changing the way you think about it, you know?
Yeah,
And
exactly.
it really does have a huge effect. So, along those lines, I did have some other things I wanted to throw out there for questions. So, how do we all come together during this time of such division, and how do we convince other people to practice those things on a mass scale? Like, how do we take the ones who are so angry and so just bound to that negative low vibe right now, especially with the protests that you're seeing all around the world? Like, how do we break through to them and get them to see that there's a better way? That's a tough question. I know.
Well, fundamentally, the first thing we have to do is what I just talked about. We do it from within, and then we also can do it by things like this, sharing and not being angry, not getting mad at people, and trying to be tolerant. I mean,
Yeah. So I guess
various platforms.
yeah. I guess it starts with each and every one of us, right? Like, so if we work on ourselves, like Buddha says, don't be the change you want to see in the world. I guess that would be the mindset that we would try to spread amongst people, and then try to
Well,
convince people of no, not to hold so much hatred and unforgivingness in their hearts.
Well, I know you would have seen it as well as I do, because we are in the same groups. We have many similar friends, and how often do you see posts that are saying, "Oh, look at this," and trying to get a reaction, and you get angry reactions. What I do now, I don't ever use an angry emoji anymore. If I'm upset, I'll rather use the teary emoji rather than the anger one, because on a social platform like Facebook, if you're going to just be adding comments, they'll talk about, say, someone like Hillary Clinton, and if you want to get in there and you want to just say how much you dislike her, or you whatever, it doesn't help. It actually feeds the negativity, it feeds the anger. You need to be saying, well, instead of hating this woman, pray for her. Pray for her. Pray that she changes her ways. Pray that she gets a massive breakthrough. Because I am a believer that even the most evil people can turn around, if they're shown enough love.
Yeah,
so that's one
I
way.
think that's so true. I think that is so true. And it's like we have to get the masses to do this sort of thing in order to hit that tipping point where we can actually all ascend together. So I think, like you're saying, like platforms like this, and the more people that are coming out with their own shows and their own ways to bring discussions like this together, I think it will have an impact. Maybe even if it's just one or two people in the beginning, and it starts to branch out to more and more people, and that's what we hope.
Just practice for the next week. Practice just using positive emojis and putting in positive comments. So instead of adding a layer of anger and frustration on top, because what people do with Facebook, they're basically seeking agreement, right? So if they're angry about something or they love something, they want agreement. So if you want to go in there and agree and just pile on more, I've got more information I want to add, which just adds on to the anger. I'm going to put fuel on the fire. That's bad. So if we actually practice not doing that, and I have to force myself. I'm certainly not an angel by any means. I sometimes do add fuel to the fire, and it's like, listen to this. It's like, no, I'm actually practicing not doing that now, and being a bit more careful in my comments. I mean, I've had Facebook have temporarily suspended my account 3 times, and it made me go through the process. They say, we've noticed suspicious activity on your account, which I don't think is true. And I've had to go through identifying myself 3 times now. But I notice every single time it's when I've been in a group and there's been not my posts, but other people's posts, and I've been adding my comments and angry emojis to them and saying things, it seems to happen. So it's like, well, let's stop this, because I don't want to keep having to set a new password every time.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking, well, no, there's a better reason to stop doing this. I don't want to be chucking fuel on the fire. That's not what I'm about. I want the world to be more loving, more unified, more tolerant. That's what I'm about. So I need to remind myself, and we all need to practice this. We need to practice on a daily basis, because this isn't something that comes naturally to us. Or maybe it does to a baby, I don't know. But as we grow up, we get all these layers put on top of us, and we learn how to behave, and we have other forms of behavior that we inherit, and we're programmed through the television, through our parents. We need to deprogram ourselves, and we need to constantly practice. So what I would say is set yourself a high goal, high principles, and hold yourself to account. And even get some of your friends and say, hey, if you see me on Facebook adding fuel to the fire, pull me up on it. Send me a private message and let me know that what I'm saying is not, it's not wrong.
Helping.
It's not right. It's not wrong, but it's not in line with my own standards.
And where you want to go.
Hold me to account for that.
And where we want to go as humans. We don't really want to stay in that negative vibe, and it also the other reason we don't want to do that is because I think it gives power to the ones that are trying to incite a lot of this stuff in us. They want us to have the low vibe. They want us to feel angry. They want us to go after them. That's why they do some of the things that they do, so that it'll keep us in that low vibe. And so let's not give them what they want. Let's do the right thing. And
just as Justin Deschamps says, because Justin, he actually explains at one stage in his Into the Storm, he calls it, and he explains how cities are actually built as transceivers, right? So cities are designed to pick up all the negativity and send it out there to whoever, the Draco, right? And so if you every time you do that, that's who you're feeding. Just remind yourself, hey, do I want to be feeding these negative entities? I mean, I don't know if any of this is true, but it's a good principle to be thinking about. Do you want to feed negativity? No, you don't. So practice doing that.
Yeah, you can call it the Draco. You can call it the devil. I mean, you don't want to.
Does it matter? Does it matter whether it's the devil? Does it matter whether it's the Draco or whoever? If it's negativity and you are feeding it, you don't want to be doing that. And that is the best way to fight these evil entities. And it's the best way to help people. I mean, like I mentioned Antifa earlier, a lot of those people sincerely believe they're doing the right thing. They're not bad people. Not deep down at heart, most people are good, but they've been programmed, they've been told that you've got to do this because this is a good thing to be doing. And so they're going out and they honestly believe that what they're doing is good, even if it's violent. They don't know any better. So the way that you can help them is by sending them prayers, sending them love, and maybe you will have some sort of effect on them. And then also using the social media platforms, you're not going to help by just sending out negativity. All you're going to do, you're just going to feed all that.
Just going to keep it going. Yep, it's just going to keep that negative vibe going, and it's going to give the dark ones exactly what they want. A lot of the other questions I had here actually were answered in that response. But so I'll just go through them anyway. So I said, will each of us focusing on love and doing our own inner work have a positive effect on the global events we're seeing today, such as the riots? And it absolutely will. I think we need to do it. We need to start with ourselves, and then let that branch out. How can we break through the societal programming that includes these things that maybe that are being fed to Antifa or to any of these negative groups that we consider negative that are going out there and doing some of the things that they know are wrong, probably in their heart of hearts. It's kind of like when you think about some of these Middle Eastern countries who hate America and they death to America and this whole mentality. They're born and raised into that sort of thing. And when you join a group or a gang, if you will, like Antifa, I call it's sort of like a gang. It's sort of like a terrorist group. They're designated as a terrorist group right now because of the things that they do. But how do we reach them to say, take a look at what you're doing and ask yourself why you're doing it and what you're really going to gain from it? What are you going to gain? More hatred towards your whole idea there? I don't get what they're trying to accomplish there. And there is no underlying message. That's the part that I'm trying to figure out still. Like, they're saying it's anti-fascist and they're trying to, get the balance back, but it's not clear, what it is that they're trying to do there. Or is it just pure anger? I mean, what are your thoughts on the group as a whole?
Do you want to answer that, Desiree?
Yeah.
I think I've said it. I've said most of what I believe.
Yeah.
Have you got anything you want to add?
Yeah, I don't really have a lot to add to that. Or I kind of like put myself in their situation. And I'm a protester. I'm a huge protester. You'll see me at the state capitol with the sign. I that's me. That's who I am. And what I fight for, I have a lot of passion. Obviously it's peaceful protesting, but when I see them, the protesters, I kind of like I know what they think that they're doing is right. They don't know that they're doing anything is wrong. So that's how I see it. So I just like step back from the whole thing too, because I have mixed emotions about it. Just when my mind is like set on one thing with all of the disclosure community telling me all this stuff is what's really happening. And then I start questioning that, saying, well, how do you know if that's what's really happening? You're telling me this is happening. They're saying this is happening. I don't know who to believe. So I just kind of like stepped back, and then I had my best friend kind of tell me how it is, because I was trying to tell her it was all a setup and that it's not really, it's about the election this year, and that's what I was trying to tell her. But then she stepped up and said something to me and put me in my place. So I'm like, I don't know enough about it.
Yeah, so it's sort of like, there's different groups within the protest that are out there right now, where some of them have, they're just out there to do violence. Let's just face that. Some of them are just there to be bad. And there's the other ones who are there and they have their own idea about what the protest is about. And it's about good against evil, or it's about, trying to...
my best friend, Angelica, she took a lot of videos of the protest. And majority of the people there had the same kind of sign she had that was promoting love, but that's not being shown on YouTube or Facebook or anything like that. But I do have her videos holding up that sign saying "One Love," and it's very peaceful. All these people are like enjoying each other. It's like almost like a get together, but they're not showing that.
Nope. We've seen live streams, though, too, that show a lot of the violence when it came in, and it's usually later on in the evening. So it's like, they start with the good, peaceful protests, and everybody is doing the right thing. And later on, you got the agitators that come in and kind of mess it up for everybody. So there is the two elements, but it's like, you really want to focus on the good, because that's the most important thing. The most important thing is what are the messages that the good people are trying to send? They're trying to send this idea of peace and love and coming together. And really, that's the only thing that matters in all of this. And if we can just focus there, then we can, the rest of that stuff will go away on its own. They'll be arrested, they'll get caught, they'll get in trouble, the ones that are doing the violence, that are actually hurting people and killing people and doing things like that. So I don't condone that. And I never will condone that. I don't care how much of a victim you feel that you are. I feel that that's way over the top. But when it comes to the majority of people, you're right. The mainstream media is not going to show it. They're not going to do that, because there is a political aspect to this that they're trying to keep this idea that people are so upset that the majority of people are just angry and want to like kill people. That's not really the way it is, you know. So
I think there's a couple of really good points that Desiree made there. The first was actually she gets out, and we're talking about sharing on platforms and talking about it and sending out spiritual vibrations, and she's talking about actually going out there, protesting peacefully, giving peaceful messages. I think that's a really good thing that you can do. Get involved, go out in the community, get involved in these things, but don't try to, but have a positive. You don't try. There is no try. There is either do or don't, as Yoda would say. There is no try. But you can get out in there. You can share that positive message. You can also do what Desiree just did, bring attention to those good people and don't focus on the bad. If the mainstream media is going to show you violence and all the nastiness and graffiti and damage, show the other side of it. Go out and take your photos of peaceful protesters. I mean, one of the things that really inspired me was in Michigan. I forget what his surname is, Chris, the sheriff. When he turned around, he took off his helmet, he put down his baton, and he said, "Hey, we're here to support you. We're here to be with you and look after you. We're not here to antagonize you and oppose you." And next thing,
I remember that
people coming up and hugging him. I mean, I shared that on my Facebook page. I found that so inspiring. That man, he needs to receive a commendation. I hope that the president gets him up there and gives him whatever commendation he gives out to people, because he deserves it. That's really, really inspiring. There's so many beautiful stories like that around the world, but not enough of them are getting shared. We can share that sort of thing and focus on that sort of thing.
Desiree, do you have any that you would like to share tonight, or you want to do that another time?
They're on. I have to get her to. I got to see them.
Okay.
And I have to ask her permission. I'm sure she'll say that I can show them. So I'll have to ask her. But yeah, they were amazing. Like when she told me what she planned on doing at the, because first when she told me, I was like, oh my gosh, why are you gonna go do that?
Be careful,
come on, please don't do this. But then after she told me the reason why she was going to go to promote love, and her sign was going to say one love.
Wow.
I'm sorry.
No, I'm just saying, wow, that's okay. Amazing.
And and then after she told me that, I'm like, you know what? I would go with you if I didn't have my daughter. If I didn't have my daughter, I would go in just to hold up a sign about love. Because I never even thought of it that way until she put that into, my subconscious. And she's like, I'm like, okay, that's an amazing thing that she did. And I would have loved to have gone there to do that. I would have done it if I didn't have my daughter.
I mean, I think it's like, the ones that are out there doing it right now know better about how safe it is and how, what's what time to go and everything, and what the actual message really is versus what we're seeing on, mainstream media or anything else. All of those things are deceiving us constantly. So it does make you, especially social media. It's like crazy sometimes, like what the things that you're seeing there, because they're only focusing on the negative, only focusing on the dark stuff. There is a lot of each though, which is sad. So I would like to see the peace overcome the dark, and hopefully, we can come to a resolution, because really we don't want this kind of hatred in the world. We need to be done with that. It's getting tired, In order for us to all ascend together, we need to come together and love each other.
Be the change that you want to see in the universe. So be love. Go out and be love.
That's right.
If you're in a supermarket and there's an elderly lady comes along and she walks in front of you, let her go in front of you, or stand to one side and offer your place to her.
Yes.
Just be nice to people. You see, I go out walking. You see people, they're marching along, and they're thinking, if you don't get out of my way, I'm going to bowl you over. And you can think, I'm going to do the same thing to you, but you can actually stand to one side and just let them, if they want to go like that, just let them go. Be the change you want to see in the universe, and you will affect the collective consciousness.
Yes, absolutely.
Hey guys, I'll be right back. Okay, I'm still listening though.
Oh, okay. Well, we're gonna probably end it real quick here with
Oh,
David's meditation,
oh, okay.
because I don't think we have much else to cover on this line for this evening. So maybe we'll just get right into David's meditation and kind of end it there for the evening, and I think that would be a great way to end this evening.
Okay. My favorite part.
Yeah, me too.
Right. Well, I'll see if I can do this now. Let's have a look. So, meditation videos. This is the meditation video I've tried to send to Rick 6 times now, and for some reason it just will not upload. So, okay, here it comes. Hi there, everyone. I thought I would make another meditation video, this time to cleanse and... Now, can you hear that, Rick?
I can hear it, but can't see it. But that's okay if we want to just do
can't
this
see it.
It may be the...
Let's just see. I'll just see if I can... go back just a sec. I can't see how to share that. Keep talking, Rick, and I'll start it up again.
Okay.
In a minute. I can see if I can.
Yeah, so we'll definitely start focusing more on the spiritual positive aspects of things every week, and
Did you talk to him about possibly deciphering the law of one?
Yes, we did talk
Session by
about
session.
that. Yeah, we're going to do that. That's going to be something that
How do you feel about that, David?
That.
How do you feel about... Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, we were talking about doing the law of one review, like kind of going through some of the most impactful passages, if you will, or sessions, and kind of trying to interpret them ourselves and kind of see what kind of interesting conversations that come up from that.
Yeah, I'm really interested in Law of One, and I used to go on another friend's show, and he used to break them all down. I've actually downloaded all 5 books of it and been studying it. It's very interesting.
Yeah.
But what I found was most of the Law of One was stuff that I already sort of understand from other venues that I've been to. Right, here we go. So,
here we go. I think it's coming.
Do you want me just to just continue with the
sound,
the audio?
Yeah, it looks like it's trying to come up though. I don't know what's going on there. Huh.
Right, what I'll do, I'll stop the share and I'll just try it again.
Try again. Okay. See what happens. It might work. There it is. Excellent. All right.
Hi there, everyone. I thought I would make another meditation video, this time to cleanse and energize your own personal energy field and also the whole planet. So, if you would like to participate in this meditation, just make yourself comfortable, lie down or sit down, and allow yourself to relax. To help you relax, take a deep breath in and out. And again, breathe in and out. One more time, breathe all the way in and out, relaxing completely, feeling very safe, secure and relaxed now. Imagine above your head a golden orb of light. That golden orb of light is intensifying more and more and projecting down into your energy field, a beam of pure golden light, which is completely filling your energy field and every single cell of your physical body, transmuting all the dark patches which represent your fears and negativities into pure golden light. You are now a being of pure golden light. As I say this and you think this, it becomes reality. This golden light is intensifying more and more and opening up all chakras, beginning with the crown at the top of your head, your brow, throat, heart, solar plexus, sacral, base, and all minor chakras, including your hands and feet. Beams of pure golden light are now shooting out of your hands, feet, and base chakra, deep down into the bowels of Mother Earth, firmly anchoring you with the planets and with the spirit of Gaia. You are now completely connected with the planet and the spirit of Gaia. As I say this and you think this, it becomes reality. And now, in light and love, in the name of the Creator, send forth from your energy field all negativity and darkness. Send it on to its appropriate destination, wishing it Godspeed in its journey. Your energy field is now crystal clear, energized and purified by the golden light. And now that golden light is intensifying even more. And completely filling the room or area in which you dwell, transmuting all darkness into pure golden light. You're feeling wonderful, relaxed, completely energized. That golden light is now completely transmuting all darkness, all negativity in your immediate area into pure golden light. The golden light is expanding even further now to incorporate the entire region in which you live, and even further to incorporate your entire county or state, transmuting all darkness into pure golden light. Your entire county or state is now completely enshrouded with golden light. Everyone is benefiting. Everything is benefiting. All darkness, all negativity, all evil is being transmuted into golden light. And now that golden light is intensifying even further and is completely enshrouding your entire country with pure golden light, which is cleansing, energizing and purifying, transmuting all darkness within your country into golden light of the Creator. This golden light is intensifying even more now and extending, expanding to completely enshroud your entire continent, cleansing, energizing, purifying as it goes.
And now the golden light is expanding even further to incorporate the entire planet Earth, enshrouding Earth in a cocoon of pure golden light. This golden light is protecting the planet, is healing the planet, is transmuting all darkness on the planet into pure golden light. The entire planet is now an orb of pure golden light. As I say this and you think this, it becomes reality. And now I'd like you to give thanks to the Creator for abundant use of the light. If you wish to relax or sleep, please feel free to do so. Otherwise, bring yourself back gradually to normal waking reality. Coming back now, coming back now, coming back now. You're feeling cleansed, protected, and energized. Looking forward to the rest of your life. Thank you for participating in this meditation. Namaste.
Namaste. That was beautiful. That was
Thank you for
just amazing. I could feel it. I could visualize it. I could just follow it all the way through. That was just what we needed this time. So, David, you answered the question I had earlier about what do we do to help the masses, and this is exactly it right there. We need to share that far and wide.
Thank you, David, for that.
Thank you very much. Namaste. So
thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you for giving me the chance to show the video. Hopefully now you've got it on your show, you might be able to save it.
Yes, I will. I'll record that section and I'll cut it out and keep it. So, so we will be focusing more on this kind of stuff every week and trying to do our work as light workers and to bring in the light a little bit more and to shift the focus away from, not completely, but we need to be aware of the dark so that we can bring in the light. But at the same point, we want to focus more on what we can do about it as opposed to, just sitting here complaining and griping about the things that go on in the world. Again, thank you everyone for coming, and we'll end it here, and we'll see you next week. Get Esoteric. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.